Hello, and welcome to my video lecture on how to send data, how to display data in a PHP file once it's sent from an HTML file. So in previous videos, I've shown you how to set up your HTML file so that it's going to have a form and input elements. It's going to use the post method to send data to a PHP file. And then the PHP file is going to grab that data, pull it out of the post array, put it into local variables, and echo it. At this point, that display is not very impressive. So what we're going to do is we're going to change, we're going to add some functionality to the PHP. So right now the PHP file doesn't have any HTML elements in it. And what happens when a PHP file is parsed on a web server, all the PHP elements are removed and sent, and the only thing that's sent back to the client's web browser is going to be HTML. So we can put HTML in the bottom of this PHP file, and we can intermingle them as much as we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this index.html file. This has pretty much all of the elements that we're going to need. So I'm just going to copy all this, make it easy. So I'm going to copy this HTML out. I'm going to put it down here inside my PHP file. And what's going to happen is this is all going to get, this is what's going to get rendered when this PHP file gets displayed. So up here in my PHP, I'm actually referencing the post, which I can't do with regular HTML. I need PHP to do that. So I've got my PHP information in here. I'm going to get rid of some of this other commented information that's up there. And here's my PHP. I'm going to grab the variables that we're going to grab the information out of the post array, put it into my local variables. I'm going to leave the echo statements there. So that's going to show up at the very top of the form. And then what I want to see rendered is going to be my first data display page. So again, I can link out to my my same CSS file. So any of the elements that were affected by my CSS file will be affected here. Here I don't really need a form because that's not what I'm going to be. That's not what I'm going to be doing. A form is used for gathering data. This is just going to be for displaying data. So I'm going to take my my information here, and this is going to be my first data display page. Again, might as well make sure all of the text is going to fit. And then I don't really need this div element. So here I'm going to put my label as first name. But instead of putting an input, again, I'm not going to be inputting anything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these inputs. I'm going to leave my labels, and then what I want to do is I want to actually display what's happening above. I want to grab that data and I want to display it. So I'm going to use a span tag or a span element. And then inside this, I'm going to throw some PHP code. And that's really all I, question mark. So this is going to start a little PHP code in here. And again, all I'm going to do is pretty much the same thing I'm doing up here. So I'm going to copy that out. So inside my PHP, I'm going to echo out the value from my first name variable. I'm going to end that in a semicolon, and then I'm going to end my PHP section. And then I need to end my span. And what that's going to do, and let me add in a little break to make sure this looks a little better. So this is going to set up a span element, and inside the span element, I'm going to display the value and first name that I got from my local variables up here. And what I'm going to do is I'll just copy that. Big fan of copying and pasting. So this is not going to be first name. I want to display last name here. And then here I don't want to display first name either. I want to display the value from email. So what's going to happen here is that when this display PHP file gets parsed by our web server, our Apache web server, what it's going to do is it's going to process all of this PHP and leave behind only the HTML and the data that we asked for. So this PHP tag right here is actually going to disappear, and it's going to be replaced by the value of first name, and that's all we're going to see. So let's check that out. We'll save all that, go back to Firefox. We don't really need to change this page, but now when I click submit, now I see my Devlin junk. So this was the echoing that echoed data in my PHP section. Then I've got my HTML section. All of this is affected by my cascading style sheet. And now we can see my label that says first name Mike, last name Devlin, email junk.junk.com. And unfortunately I left the submit in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that in my PHP, since obviously I'm not going to be doing any inputting. And then I'll save that, go back to my Firefox, submit, and now I've got the display of what my user just entered on the previous data entry page. And that is how you catch data in a PHP file and display it for a user.